Across our country, female athletes are currently losing scholarships, championships, opportunities, medals, education, and training opportunities to these discriminatory policies that allow males to compete in female-only sports. The Safe Women's Sports Act will require schools to designate separate teams for participants of the biological female sex. No school, interscholastic conference, or organization that regulates interscholastic athletics shall permit biological males to participate on an athletic team or an athletic competition designated only for female participants.
Listening to my colleagues here speak, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that what we're doing is harmful to people in our state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in direct opposition to everything Representative Powell just said in terms of the override of the governor's veto on House Bill 68. When I decided to run for office, it was because my entire career has been focused on caring for women, educating people, whether it was a patient, a medical student, or a resident. In running for office, I had the naive belief that I would be surrounded by other legislators who wanted to improve life in Ohio through thoughtful legislation that would make education more accessible, healthcare less expensive, and more attainable. But here we are, brought back in an emergency meeting to discuss women's sports that affects one person in Ohio, and to impact the hundreds of people that have come in to testify against this bill. Whatever the issue was, I believed we were all here to listen and learn and create legislation that would move Ohio forward. And what we're doing is moving people backwards. We are restricting people's rights. We are taking away health care. I knew that these health issues would be legislated, and I felt that it was really important to represent experts and share that knowledge with those outside the medical profession. Legislators don't trust science, and the hundreds of experts, the hundreds of people that have come in and testified repeatedly. I came in and testified against the SAFE Act in 2019, in 2020, and in 2021, before I ever ran for office. When I was preparing my comments today, I ran across that testimony. At that time, the bill died in the last assembly. However, this time, when those same experts came in to testify, along with their parents, along with the kids who shared their personal private stories, they were dismissed, and a political, hateful agenda was pushed through. Why? Because of money given by radical Christian groups to push an agenda that does not help a single family. Why? Because your Google search makes your knowledge equal to my 30-plus years in medicine. Is it because...
Representative, if we could ask folks in the gallery to please remain quiet so the representatives may express their words. Thank you.
Is it because politics is no longer about listening to your constituents, as gerrymandering creates districts for the politician? Is it because we have all forgotten how to listen and learn from others and how to compromise and negotiate? Overriding a veto that was made after much deliberation and thought by a governor shows the community how little we respect our colleagues and how we are only pushing a political agenda that appeals to a fringe of voters. Last year, the voters loudly and clearly showed us with overwhelming percentages that they don't trust the State House in August, and they don't want us to have the absolute say in how Ohio is governed. They want a say in this, and we are not pushing legislation that helps that. HB 68 is harmful to the next generation, and it does nothing to protect our youth. Statistics show that Ohio is growing older, and only in Columbus is our younger population increasing. I would say that this is a direct result of the number of bills that have been proposed that hurt evidence-based health care, public education, including diversity, equality, and inclusion, and do nothing to improve the financial well-being of our citizens. Restrictive abortion laws in Ohio led to maternal deaths and having to travel to other states for abortion care. HB 68 will result in the same problem where people will have to travel extreme distances and suffer both mentally and financially. HB 68 is a bill that will lead to an increase in deaths, an increase in families having to leave Ohio to give their kids the best care possible, and an increase in wait times for mental health care as providers leave the state. Remember, half of our counties are maternity deserts, and the same types of problems will occur when these laws are passed, regardless of whether it is from the State House or from executive order. Trans children and adults deserve our empathy and understanding instead of this aggressive attack on their rights. If you are a corporation or a university or a business, how will you recruit the brightest and best to come to a state that is busy taking away human rights and taking away health care from minors and positioning itself on a slide to the bottom in regards to maternal and infant mortality? My office received over 1,500 emails against this bill and just over 200 emails in favor. When we had people testifying, most of the people that testified here were from Ohio that testified against the bill. The people that came in testifying for the bill came in from other states. They do not live in Ohio. We have received heartbreaking calls from transgender youth and adults who are scared, from parents who just want to see their children be their true, authentic selves, and from physicians and social workers who will be unable to provide their patients the care that they need. But the other side would have you believe that everyone agrees with them. Trust science. Trust the families, the parents, the patients, and the experts who have testified repeatedly that gender-affirming care is a continuum designed to help people achieve their authentic, true self. It isn't up to us, it isn't up to the government to make these decisions, and we need to stay the hell out of the exam room, except for me because I'm a doctor. I urge a no vote to the override of the veto on HB 68. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'd like to speak directly to Ohioans who I hope are tuning in and watching this hypocrisy play out right before us. Folks, please watch closely at what is happening here today. Find out who truly cares about your privacy. The so-called party of personal and parental rights and privacy is voting to take away your parental rights. The party of so-called freedom is voting to take away your freedom today against their own Republican governor. Keeping government out of your personal health care decisions? I think not. The hypocrisy in this room is rich. And keeping Ohio a welcoming state that is open for business? Boy, I sure do hope the decision makers over at Intel are watching this today. Dog whistle politics, the proverbial boogeyman that doesn't exist, is killing our democracy. And with this vote to override the governor's veto today, you are literally killing our children. Take that in for a moment. Literally killing our children. All to win your Republican primary races. Disgusting.
I'd like to ask the representative to keep the comments to the bill,
And lastly, Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me the time to say something today. I hope all of the money that CCV, the so-called Center for Christian Virtue, raises off of bullying our children keeps them up every single night of their low lives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.